A turkey in Turkey. Achoo! Look at this, it's wonderful. Again, eh? Achoo! I found my mates. Achoo!
Also there.
We arrived in Aksaray on a stormy night. We didn't know what to do, but a university professor found us a host among his students. He was Yusuf, and I cannot show him to you because he is a former Turkish soldier injured fighting PKK. I find this interesting since later I would have been hosted also by former PKK members. The history professor also invited us for an incredible breakfast with his family, and he told us where to go in the surrounding areas.
So the last time you see with this big beard and this big hair, finally, after days and days, actually exactly 1 month, I shave and I will be presentable again.
From here it's nice. Where did you come from?
A hole. We cycled here through the Hihara Valley and we are about to arrive to the southest part of the valley. And what is here? Selime Cathedral, the biggest complex of Cappadocia caves. It is made on tuff, so it was a volcanic area before, and it was a Byzantine settlement. It is quite late, that is striking to me, because this type of caves, etc., I would have expected to be even before in history than that time. However, it is impressive because it's huge, it's super big. You see it from far away, and the nowadays houses and farms are actually very close by. Now, why was this settlement that important? Well, it was a place that was controlling the entire valley, being close to water, because there is a river down there. So, farms, food, without the danger of floodings, because they were way higher than the river level. Of course, making houses into the stones made the entire process of architecture way easier. And it is actually super interesting that there is a cathedral, it is full of houses, shops, but the most interesting part is that it is actually huge. There are so many tourists that I cannot even go down. By the way, these stairs remind me that the infrastructure in the Byzantine Empire were incredible.
In reality, the mobility of the other tourists was quite impressive, negatively, as you can tell from this clip. So to be completely fair, it was enough to go out from the paid area in places that were even better, and we were alone again.
Actually, I'm holding
The whole...
And on the other side of the valley, there are still these caves and houses. So the Selime monastery is completely full of people, definitely too many. But if you go 5 minutes away from there, there is an incredible church, the Virgin Mary, that has even better frescoes than the cathedral that is in the castle.
The impressive thing of cycling in this region is that everything you see happens in 130 kilometers.
Wait!
And after days of cycling alone and in the nature, this is a wonderful place. Why? Because you walk and hike alone. It is so big that you can be alone. You go in different churches, they all have a different name, different specifics, even without the frescoes clearly. And definitely I can see why this place was chosen to be meditative and for religious purposes. Because inside those chambers, in a enchanted valley like this, what else can you do than finding your spiritual way? Wow. They are still here. Okay, this morning it's freezing. Okay, we have to remember that it is May and that we are 1,400 meters on the sea level. And of course it looks less because we are on a plateau, but we are actually very high in altitude. So it's so cold. I don't have gloves for cold because I broke them when I broke my hand. So now my fingers are freezing. What is interesting to see when you go off-road though is that there are farms that still use those caves, very few actually, but the idea is, first of all, maybe they are not that old, the new caves, maybe they are just 200 years old, and actually they are super useful because it's the coziest and easiest way to create a shelter. Second of all, it's not even an unique thing, the one of using the holes in the land to have a house. Because for example, I was in January in the Etruscan part of Italy, in Umbria, and there was the same, and people were still using those caves for farming tools, etc, etc. Le pecorelle ci fanno un buon formaggino qua, il classico formaggio turco, buonissimo, buonissimo. Ah,
It's like Hunger Games. Are you blue or are you yellow? Cazzo, col montone? Ci sono anche i montoni.
It's a bit narrow here. If you're fat, this place is quite difficult to manage.
No, the Hittites were not fat at all.
No, I'm talking about the modern day people that come here with us.
Madonna, it's very steep and deep. Well made.
You know what would be fun if there was an earthquake right now?
Yeah, it would be perfect.
Yes, as you can tell, the Hittites were not very tall. Actually, they probably looked like dwarfs. But the system they created is massive and was used for long time after them. I think also they created some tunnels to go to Asia, because that would explain the incredibly high amount of Asian tourists in that tunnel.
Maybe that famous tunnel that brings to Asia, I could take it so it's a shortcut. I come downstairs with the bike and then I directly go to Asia from here.
In all of this, we were not yet at the most famous part of Cappadocia, where all the people take photos with the balloons, etc., etc. We arrived there, it was late in the evening, and we had no clue where we would have slept. We paused our bikes just to take a photo. In that moment, a woman named Bushra came to us. She asked our name, she asked what we were doing, and she invited us to stay at her house. We would have stayed there for other 4 days.
But everywhere you look, it's crazy. Like even
Cappadocia was like this. Ages and ages of different societies, rising and falling one after the other. Assyrians, Hittites, Persians, Romans, Byzantine, Ottomans, now Turks. Everybody left a sign, but only one thing remained: the beautiful, fertile land, cradle of humanity.